Here's a controversial video. Most overrated movies of all time. Or movies that I like, though I don't like, that everybody else likes. But actually, I'm gonna do overrated because some of these movies I actually do like. But these movies are constantly claimed as the best in their genre, as some of the greatest movies of all time. They're not, in my opinion. Because this video is all 100% my opinion. So, let's start the video. Number one. This is in no order. I think all these movies are all equally as overrated. Number one is Spider-Man 2. So Spider-Man 2 is the second Spider-Man movie, and everybody constantly talks about on the internet how it's a perfect superhero movie. How it's a perfect movie. It's not a perfect movie. It's a good Spider-Man movie. I think that the newer Spider-Man movies are better. I think it's an insult to say this is better than Spider-Verse. I know this movie has a lot of nostalgia behind it, and it's probably why a lot of people like it. A lot of people have nostalgia behind this movie. You know, it came out in 2004. It actually is actually the lowest grossing in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Just to tell you that, because again the third movie promised so much, but we all know the third movie is not that great. I think everybody knows that. There are some people who say it's really underrated, but I think out of the three original Spider-Man movies that came out in the 2000s, this has to be the most overrated because everybody actually considers it the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. And again, this is down to opinions. I don't think it's the greatest Spider-Man movie. I think there are better Spider-Man movies that have come out since, and they're not Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Those are not good. But Spider-Man 2 is not the best Spider-Man movie of all time. Okay, it's not one of the greatest superhero movies either of all time. Okay, the next movie on the list is The Incredibles. I have gone and defended my opinion about The Incredibles. Everyone online says it's one of the greatest movies of all time. Yep, everyone online. Not just animated movies, greatest movies of all time. It's not. The Incredibles is a painfully average superhero movie. And every time I tell people this, there were people even blocked me for saying this. That I said The Incredibles is a painfully average superhero movie. It is. Okay, just because it's made by Pixar doesn't mean it's perfection. Okay, I have seen tons of superhero movies. Okay, I have seen basically every MCU movie up to this point. I have seen most of the DCEU. I have seen the original Spider-Man trilogy. I've seen basically the Dark Knight trilogy. And you're telling me that this movie holds up to the Dark Knight, the Avengers, or the other animated superhero movie, Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, which is way better. And you might say, you just hate it because it's, and someone even told me, you just hate it because you're a Marvel fanboy. Okay? Then why did I use The Dark Knight as a comparison? Okay? The people online literally compare this to the fucking Dark Knight and, fucking Avengers and, Spider-Man and Spider-Verse. Those movies are all better than The Incredibles. The Incredibles is the most overrated superhero movie ever made. And its sequel certainly is not much better. I have not seen the sequel. I didn't like the first movie. Why would I want to see the sequel if I hated the first movie? That if I don't like the first movie so much, why would I go out of my way to see a sequel to a movie I don't like? The same thing applies to Captain Marvel. I'm not seeing the sequel to Captain Marvel or a sequel to Birds of Prey. They're not making a sequel to Birds of Prey, thank God. But this movie's overrated. Number 3 overrated movies, we have Up. Speaking of Pixar, everybody, again, this is another movie. Everyone says, based off the first 10 minutes of the movie, this movie's a masterpiece. Sorry. But first 10 minutes of a movie is still 10 minutes of a movie, okay? You have to have a plot, you have to have a story. Again, there was a lot of some movies that don't have a plot that are good, okay? There are some movies that don't really have a central plot that are good. But after this movie, after like the first 20 minutes of the movie, this movie is just a generic kids movie, okay? It's another generic kids movie, which I find funny that people hate Cows too for being exactly just that, but then the plays Up because of the first 20 minutes of the movie, okay? If you exclude that first 20 minutes of Up, it is not that great of a movie. It's not that great. The villain's just like, oh, I want to kill animals because, blah, blah, blah. It's not really that interesting past that 20 minutes. It's just another mediocre movie, basically, to me. You can't really, there are some good, again, there are good movies to every movie, but this movie, it's at the best part of the movie is at the beginning, and the rest of the movie is like mediocre. It's just another generic kids movie. That's why I saw it like a couple of times. I could still never could get into why everybody loved this movie so much. I could never get into it, and people will say online, if you don't wake up, you're heartless. Well, I have seen movies that are much more sadder than Up. I have seen movies that people literally die in the movie. Like, actually die, and you got to see the characters react to them dying, okay? Not just a montage, okay? You know what I'm going to say? And this is going to make you Pixar fanboys so sad, so angry. Endgame was a sadder movie than Up. Sorry, Pixar fanboys. Sorry. Not sorry. Okay, number 4. Most overrated movies of all time. We have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So this movie was nominated for so many Oscars because it was directed by Tarantino. That's the only reason why. Because it was directed by Tarantino. The movie was not that great. I did a review on it. I gave it like a 7 out of 10. And I was like, how the hell you give Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that was cool? It's so amazing. I watched it. It's not that great. It's supposed to be funny. The only funny scene in the movie was the Bruce Lee scene. And the rest of the movie is like, oh, it's about the, the murders that happened in 1969, the really bad ones. And they just changed it around or something like that. And I know this movie is supposed to be about, like, Hollywood and movies and how Hollywood changes everything. Alters stuff or makes, like, it's all actors and stuff. But sorry, but those way better movies in 2019. Okay, way better movies that came out in this year. I think this is probably like the most overrated movie of the year. I think this movie is even more overrated than Endgame because how much people talk about, how much awards this was nominated for, how many awards this was nominated for. There were much better movies that the critics hated that came out in 2019 that deserved more awards than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm going to tell you one movie, a couple of movies, like, I'm not going to tell you any movies, but come on, guys. This movie's overrated. Number 5 is Black Panther. Yep, Black Panther. I have always said why this movie's overrated so many times. This movie is incredibly overrated. Does not deserve to have a 97%. It does not deserve to be nominated for Best Picture. Okay, when they really refuse to give The Dark Knight a nomination for Best Picture or Spider-Man: The Spider-Verse were released in the same year. But because it's an animated movie, and of course the Academy has a problem, just like most boomers and Gen Z usually have with animated movies, basically here. But outside of the whole cultural stuff of Black Panther, this movie's not that great. The CGI is probably some of the worst in Marvel's history. We all know the CGI in Black Panther. It's laughable. And you're telling me that this movie of just laughable CGI gets 97%, but everybody like, oh my god, DC has bad CGI, but then they go and give Black Panther 10 out of 10 scores. Like, both Justice League and Black Panther both have bad CGI. You just can't give 10 out of 10 to one movie just because of social aspects. And then just ignore the CGI of Black Panther. And Black Panther is just a generic superhero movie. I have actually liked it more and more over the years. I've only seen it like once, but I probably won't want to watch it again. It's not the worst Marvel movie. That's Captain Marvel. And of course, there's definitely much worse Marvel movies that came out before and after Black Panther. It's just a middle of the road movie to me. It's not the best Marvel movie of all time. Okay. It does not deserve that award at all. Okay. And yeah, it's not. It's probably the most overrated superhero movie besides The Incredibles. Number 6 most overrated movie of all time is the Lego Movie. I hate this movie. I absolutely despise this movie and its sequel. I hate the music. Everything is awesome, okay? The characters are not that great. And how is this movie praised again? It's a movie about fucking Legos, but people are like, oh my god, they're making a freaking, Peeps movie, or they're making this movie, they're making that movie. But then they go around and say how great this movie is. You wonder why there's so many uninspired movies based off products? Because of the success of this movie, okay? This movie is just bland. It's just, oh my god, it's, that's because it's Legos doesn't mean it's amazing. I know lots of people like Legos, I don't really care for Legos that much, but come on. People were crying because it wasn't nominated for Best Movie. Best Animated Movie. Shut up about the fucking Lego movie. It doesn't... Not that great. Okay? Fucking shut up about Lego movie. It sucks. Okay? It sucks. Balls. Okay? And I'm not the only one, too. Lots of other people are starting to realize that this movie is not that great. It isn't that great as that one guy who only reviews animated movies says it is. Maybe watch a different YouTube channel. Maybe watch an actual reviewer who reviews movies other than freaking movies that were intended for fucking kids. Number 7. Most overrated movies of all time. We have probably the most overrated comedy of all time. This movie is Happy Gilmore. Ooh? Oh wait, wrong movie. Not Happy Gilmore. The most over... Wrong movie. Sorry. Wrong movie. What movie? Okay, we got the right movie this time, and this is Spaceballs. What's so great about Spaceballs again? Because it's a fucking parody of Star Wars? Okay? I'm not the biggest fan of Star Wars in the world, but this is just... Why is this so popular? Okay? There's lots of other movie parodies out there that nobody really likes that much. But this is lauded as the best parody of all time. I do not like this movie at all. I watched it for like 40 to 50 minutes. I was like, really? This is what you guys say is it's one of the funniest movies of all time? Give me a fucking break. This movie's not that great. It isn't. Okay? Moving on. Number 8 is Zootopia. So Disney decided to make a movie for SJWs, and apparently it's a movie about fucking animals. People say, oh my god, this movie's so great because the message is so amazing. They finally made a movie for us. Okay? I've watched this once. I didn't get this on Blu-ray. I just didn't really care for it. I was like, why did I waste my time watching this in theaters? Why did I waste my time? Because everyone's like, oh my god, Zootopia is so great. It's so amazing. It's not. It's not so amazing. It's not so memorable, okay? Most of the scenes in this movie were not that great. The only good scene was the swath scene. The villains was like, oh yeah, the seat with the bag that whole time. Oh no. Okay, and this movie basically is they're trying to make a movie. Oh my god, we got Panther towards the woke mob. Why? Why do we need another movie that panders towards the woke mob? We already have like 50 of those that came out afterwards, okay? Can we have a movie that isn't woke for once? And the fact that this movie has almost perfect reviews in one vast animated movie, again, there won't really anything that released in the year 2016, but come on. Just because it had the Disney Cult logo on it doesn't mean it's a masterpiece. And there's a lot of Disney movies on this list. Number 9. Unless you count Spaceballs as a Star Wars movie, which I hope you do not, this is the only Star Wars movie on the list. And this is The Force Awakens. This movie, I actually thought about this movie for a bit. I don't want to see it again. The only Star Wars movies I would want to watch would be the first 3 movies and the prequels. But this movie wasn't that great. $2 billion? When people say, oh my god, Avatar made $2 billion, that's too much money. Why did everybody want to go see? But I know, I get it, Gen Xers. You guys had to go see it because he wanted to relive your childhood. But they introduced just boring and just not good characters. Okay? The legacy of Star Wars The Force Awakens is not that great. Okay? Most people know that these movies are not that. The new trilogy of Star Wars movies are not that great. They are not that great. Okay? This movie's probably the best in the trilogy. That's not really saying much because the next 2 movies that came afterwards were dog shit anyways. Okay? So the Force Awakens is not that great. It's not that amazing. Okay, and when people complain about Avatar grossing $2.8 billion because now it's $2.8 billion because we released the movie in China, well, look at Force Awakens. Okay, like Avatar. What was the big impact of Rey? Oh, you mean a character that was forgotten about and overshadowed by a baby version of Yoda? Yep, that's sequel first trilogy of Star Wars. Yep, most of the characters already are forgotten. Maybe except for Rey and Kylo Ren because of stupid Rey roles, which also ruined the sequel trilogy as well. Number 10. 10. Avatar. Okay, so why did James Cameron make this instead of Alita? What was so great about Avatar? Really? Okay, it's just Pocahontas in space. Really? Okay, really? It's just fucking Pocahontas in space. Like this, when I talk about Avatar's goals, well, Avatar's the movie right afterwards. This movie is the highest grossing movie of all time, and it's fucking Pocahontas in space. Okay, I defended like Secret Life of Pets, the Pixar fanboys being ridiculous, but this is just the next level stuff. This is the highest grossing movie of all time. I know it made $2.7 billion because of its special effects, because of how cool they looked, but there are lots of other movies with cool special effects that flopped. Okay? And I know James Cameron made this, so it's instantly a masterpiece, but what was the cultural impact of this movie? Besides making $2.7 billion because of its effects and 3D tickets. Do you see Avatar, Avatar stuff lining the areas? Is anyone even excited for the 4 sequels that James Cameron is wasting the rest of his life making? Because apparently that's all he cares about and abandons all his other projects, leaving some other directors to scrap up. For example, Alita Battle Angel, which actually was far better than Avatar? No? Okay, and there we go. So I have some honorable mentions. 2001: Space Odyssey, I just do not like it, that much. Blazing Saddles, I'm gonna rewatch that again. It is pretty funny, but it isn't, in my top comedy movies. Comedy is subjective, but it just left the list because Twitter would want to cancel it anyways. And and another Pixar movie, Soul. It's not the best movie of we all know it's not the best. It's just another generic Pixar movie. It's not, and they're saying, "Oh my God, so amazing!" It's the same old crap that they have been putting out since Cars 3. And Toy Story 4, we didn't need a Toy Story 4, but somehow made $1 billion anyways. And the Lion King remake, another god. But again, people hate that movie. Same thing with Captain Marvel. And the one last honorable mention is Booksmart. What was so great about Booksmart? Well, look at Best Comedies list. Where is Booksmart? Nowhere, because nobody likes fucking Booksmart. It's not funny, okay? I'm sorry, but gay jokes are not funny, okay? I know it was so great for representation and stuff, but Booksmart was not that great. And Knives Out. Ryan's on. It's not a masterpiece. It isn't. Okay? And Minions. And Despicable Me. No, not Despicable Me, but Minions, the movie. Because everybody hated it, I excluded it from this new most overrated movies list. So that's basically it. Goodbye.